dialogue here, body language reading of Ariel Castro. Yep, he is the weird guy who decided to kidnap 3 young teenage girls. One was in her 20s, I should say. 2 teenage girls, one was in her 20s. He had them kidnapped for 10 years in his house. And he was caught because he was careless, which was a good thing because they ran out of the house and they got saved. Let's look at his body language. He's been sentenced. Let's listen to his statements as well. I find him a very, very narcissistic human being.
I believe I am addicted to porn.
That's probably true.
To the point that it really makes me impulsive, and I just don't realize that what I'm doing is wrong.
Right, you'll see that his nose right there scrunched up. And that tells me that he is disgusted with himself.
It's not an excuse. I'm not trying to make excuses here because I know I'm not contesting it.
He is the kind of person who is an eternal victim. So he turns things around to him that he's the victim and everybody else is the perpetrator.
I've been a musician for a long time, maybe 25, 30 years.
Notice how he sort of squelches his eyes and tosses his head. So he's trying to just justify himself being a normal human being by being a musician. And he's trying to portray that in his face.
You know, to be a musician and to be a monster like you're trying to say that I am, I don't think I can handle that.
So he's feeling disgusted with it. That's why his eyes are squelched or small.
I'm a happy person inside.
He's a happy person inside, yet he had a critical yes. That is a head swipe, and that means that he's saying yes, but he's still critical about it, so he's not really happy.
I drove the school bus for 21 years, did a very good job. Towards the end, I started slacking off.
He closed his eyes elongatedly. That's a long blink. And whenever I see that, they're either in deception or they don't like something. So either he doesn't like the fact that he slacked off with his job, being a driver of a bus, or he got told off for not being a great, driver of the bus because of his slacking off.
Trying to get fired because I knew it was just too much. This job is too stressful and coming home to my situation.
So he came home to a situation. How interesting. 3 young women who can't leave. He's kidnapped. But he still can't see himself as a monster. And that's what you'll find is a lot of narcissistic people don't see themselves as the monsters that they actually are. They see themselves in a good light. Now, they're bewildered by what people think of them.
I never had a record until I met my children's mother.
We never had a record until he met his children's mother, who's now deceased, which is congruent. But, the elephant in the room is that he's blaming his wife for his violence. He was an extremely violent man. He's now dead. He committed suicide. He beat up his wife, beat up his children, yelled and screamed around the house, and was a real negative around the house. The kids were terrified of him.
My son was on there the other day saying how abusive I was, but I was never abusive until I met her.
Again, so he's blaming her and taking no responsibility for his fists, punching her in the face.
And he failed to say that at the end, before she passed away, that them two weren't even talking.
So they weren't talking, so now he's laying the blame and deflecting. So that statement analysis, he's just deflecting the blame because he can't hack taking full responsibility for being a monster.
What I'm trying to say is, well, she's saying that I was a wife beater. That is wrong, because this happened because I couldn't get her to quiet down. I would continually tell her, the children are right there, would you please? And she's...
Can you imagine that? Being really polite to his wife, saying, would you please keep it down, yet punching her in the face where they've called the cops on him. No. Can't believe it. He's lying. Plus, I see him blink quite a bit.
She was responding, I don't care. Putting her there, she would just keep going, and the situation would escalate to the point where she would put her hands on me, and that's how I reacted.
So he was the victim again.
Putting my hands on her. I know that's... After living with her for 12 years, we separated, and I was single for about 5 years. And that time, I continued to practice the art of masturbation and pornography. It got so bad that I used to do it like maybe 2 or 3 hours a day, non-stop. When I would finish, I would just collapse right there.
So he sounds like a sick puppy, and he admits that.
When I picked up the first first victim, I didn't even plan that day. It wasn't something that they're trying to make it look like I did and I planned it and I was thinking about it. I didn't do that. That day I went to Family Dollar and I heard her always say something about she needed to get somewhere and I reacted on that. But when I got up that day, I did not say, oh, I'm going to get up and try to find some women because it wasn't my character.
So it's not his character to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to kidnap someone. So he's trying to paint himself as, again, the victim, a lot more innocent than what he actually is. Nobody's buying this.
But I know it's wrong, and I'm not trying to make excuses here. I know.
Even though he made every excuse under the sun.
100% wrong for doing it. But I'm just saying, they're trying to say that I'm a violent person. I'm not a violent person.
Violent person.
As I said, I chose who was a position, I have a family. I do have value for human life. Because every time I came home, I would be so glad to see the situation. As crazy as it may sound.
He was glad to see his daughter, his 6-year-old daughter that he had with the kidnapped girls, which is true. He was happy to see her. And so now he talks about the girls that he kidnapped and the fact that he's not a monster. Let's listen to that.
Because I know her dad. We went to school together. She got into my vehicle without even knowing who I was. I don't blame her. I'm not putting the fault on her, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to make a point across that I'm not a violent predator, that you're trying to make me look a monster. I'm not a monster. I'm a normal person. I am just sick. I have an addiction, just like an alcoholic.
So he says he's got an addiction. And what I see is absolute rage in his face, squinty eyes. And if we go back just a little bit, we will see that he sort of scrunches that up. There you go, squinty eyes and a little bit of disgust right there. So he's saying, I'm not a disgusting monster that the people are trying to paint me. Again, not taking any responsibility. He's actually very narcissistic.
I'm a monster. I'm not a monster. I'm a normal person. I am just sick. I have an addiction.
So his sickness and his addiction, and he decided not to get any help and talk about it or just keep away from humanity. Doesn't wash.
Just like an alcoholic has an addiction. Alcoholics cannot control their addiction. That's why I couldn't control my addiction.
Okay, so this addiction, apparently he's also been accused of murdering a fetus. So one of the girls, a Michelle Knight, got pregnant about twice or even more times, and every time he punched her in the stomach so that she would have a miscarriage, which happened.
Most of the sex that went on in the house, and probably all of it, was consensual.
So he just said most of the sex that went on was consensual, and even a good part of him believes that, and you'll find a lot of narcissistic people have convinced themselves of this, so they actually believe their own lies, and this is exactly what's going on here.
These allegations about being forceful on them, that is totally wrong.
Again, we've got disgust that came up into the nose, and we've got actually, he's saying totally wrong, and he is saying wrong in his head. He's believing his own lies.
Because there was times that they would even ask me for sex.
There were times that they would ask him for sex. Again, disgust up in his nose.
And I learned that these girls were not virgins for their testimony to me.
So again, he's justifying himself why he had sex with them, raped them. It's their fault because they weren't virgins.
They had multiple partners before me.
So that's okay that he kidnapped them and put them inside his house, locked up the doors so they couldn't get out for years.
All three of them.
One was 16, by the way. I think a couple of them were.
That's basically it. I just want to clear the record that I am not a monster. I did not prey on these women. I just acted on my sexual instincts. Finally, I would like to apologize to the victims.
Not very heartfelt.
I'm truly sorry for what happened.
Again, not very sincere. And as you can see, there's a huge amount of rage and anger with this man, and it's consistent and constant. So anyone who's around him, who is his close family or close members, especially those women, are going to get his wrath. And that's what's going to happen. You know, you're going to get beaten up. You're going to get treated like dirt. Otherwise, people around him think he's such a nice guy. Otherwise, because he plays the game, he's highly manipulative. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is The Dialogue. Please like and subscribe and share. Also, check out my Patreon page for more videos.